Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday, August 2nd edition of Touch 'em All, presented by SportsMap Elite, trade deadline day edition. One note I want to make right off the top to anybody who's watching us today: please tread lightly today. You may want to lower your amounts a little bit on your bets. You may not want to go so heavy. We don't know necessarily what all these lineups are going to look like. Obviously, we might have some news that breaks while we're on the air. I would say that there almost certainly will be. But in any event, we have gone through and taken notes on all the games, handicapped all the games. We're excited to dive through them. It's still a full slate of baseball and then some today. So looking forward to going through that. The whole team at SportsMap Elite has been, really putting out some good content during baseball season, and I anticipate that will continue well into the fall. The whole team, I mean, guys like Joe Spano, myself, and BC have been doing pretty well. And then I know Chris Dell is grinding away on golf and getting ready for football this fall as well. Michael Ablin's doing a great job with UFC. So really a strong team of talented people. Definitely would suggest checking out the site. The subscription is only $20 a month. I think you'll find it more than worth it. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and dive into the games. The first game we've got on the board today is going to be the first of a doubleheader between the Rockies and the Padres. This is a 4:10 Eastern time start, so this game starts in about half an hour. Rockies sending Ryan Feltner to the mound. Padres, Darvish on the bump. Padres massive favorites, minus 235. Obviously, the Padres have had some massive breaking news today as they've acquired Juan Soto, Josh Bell, picked up Josh Hader yesterday, traded away the entire farm system, got rid of Eric Hosmer. So a lot of changes. Total in that one, 7.5. BC, I'll let you go ahead and kick it off. I do not have a bet in that first game.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. Going back to what you're saying, though, on our SportsMap Elite as a team between yourself and myself and Joe Spano, we finished over 20 units for the month of July. So, as Dalton said, if y'all haven't gotten a subscription, $19.99, you definitely got your money back plus some more. So, Rockies Padres to 951, 952, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so the Pods, obviously big news you just alluded to. They needed it too. Padres offense has been middling at best. And I'm going to go ahead and do the square play and go ahead and back you, Darvish, at home. Really what I'm doing is fading the Rockies on the road, though. You Darvish is still a wildly better pitcher at home, 1.94 ERA, versus a 4.5 on the road, 2.96 FIP, and he's still elite at limiting bases on balls. He's walking less than 5% of the batters that he faces. Ryan Feltner did not pitch in July. He pitched in June. It was only a single appearance against your LA Dodgers, and he did well. He allowed only 3 hits, no runs, 3 innings pitched, so not bad, but otherwise he's been a piñata. Hard hit rates over 48%, bottom 10 in the bigs for qualifying pitchers, averaging over a run an inning surrendered. In May, I think he had 23 hits and 16 innings pitched for the month. He's done a great job of limiting home runs for as much hard contact as he's given up. But I'm a little hesitant to assume the Pods are going to jump all over him. But they should be able to get some guys on bases, and they've been significantly better versus righties since the break. And I mentioned the Rockies on the road. They've just been terrible. It's bottom 5 in damn near all offensive metrics. They have a home run plus less away from Coors, which is about a half or less home run per 9. So still the second worst road record in the majors. Pod's bullpen has been far from dependable. I don't think the addition of Hader really changes my opinion on that. You could argue he's the best closer in baseball, but he just absolutely tagged in the month of July. I don't really feel too good about much else except to stick with you. So I'm going to go ahead and take Darvish in the first 5, laying the half run. I might go Padre run line if any more pieces get moved out of the Colorado team. But that's my bet on the game. Give me you, Darvish, first 5 minus half a run.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that. For me, the first 5 minus half a run, it was just a tad too expensive for me, but I definitely think that's the right way to look. I had a lean here on San Diego on the run line. I actually think I might prefer that to go full game. I think Josh Hader, you look at the bad July that he's had, a lot of that was just a couple horrible outings, one of which was at San Francisco and cost me a bet that I felt really good about. But I think San Diego's got a lot of advantages here. You touched on a lot of them. Obviously, Yu Darvish has been really good, especially at home. He's actually pitched 7 full innings in 4 straight, 6+ innings in 12 straight. So he's been limiting the exposure of that Padres bullpen really effectively when he does pitch. And I think you may only have 1 inning to bridge between him and Hader tonight. So I think Padres -1.5 is probably my lean there. I haven't decided yet whether I want to play that. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of energy in that clubhouse, energy in that ballpark, a lot of excitement over the deal they made today. So we'll see. We'll see what these lineups look like, though. That's going to be a theme across all the games today. So couple strong leans toward the side of San Diego there, and a play on San Diego first 5 run line from BC. Moving down to the next game, 9-5-3 Cincinnati Reds at 9-5-4 Miami Marlins. This game is going to be Graham Ashcraft and Braxton Garrett tonight from Miami. Marlins small favorites -128, fairly low total at 7.5. I don't have a play here. I'll go ahead and run through the notes I've got. Graham Ashcraft, kind of a mixed bag for him on Baseball Savant. Doesn't have a lot of swing and miss, but he usually isn't a guy that's going to be hit all that hard. He does avoid walks pretty effectively. His expected ERA in the season right around 3.7, so pretty respectable. He did just see Miami pitch into the 7th inning, allowed 3 runs, 8 hits in that one. Pretty run-of-the-mill start for him. Look at his July overall, 4.84 is not great. He is suddenly walking people in his last 3 starts, so a little bit concerning there for Ashcraft. 6.66 road ERA as well. I don't know what you make of that as an omen and as a poor stat, but not very good for him when he's gone away from Cincinnati this year. That being said, Miami 25th in baseball since the start of July in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. Cincinnati right around average on the flip side against lefties. Quick look at the 2 bullpens here. Miami's ranks 12th. Cincinnati's ranks 22nd since mid-July. The problem there, Miami already had a bunch of bullpen injuries. They just traded away Zach Pop. They just traded away Anthony Bass. So I don't think there's a lot of hope for either one of these bullpens in this spot. I do lean a little bit to an over just because I don't think these starting pitchers are anywhere near all-stars and these bullpens are in rough shape. That being said, Braxton Garrett has looked pretty good. He's well above average if you look at his Savant page. Expected ERA around 3.5. He did struggle against Cincinnati on the road, 5 innings, 5 earned. So not a great sign there, but an ERA of 3 flat overall in July. He looked really good in his other 4 starts during the month. He has been much better at home too, so could be a sign that he's going to pitch a little better tonight. Just a few too many unknowns for me in this one. 2 selling teams too, so I guess we don't necessarily know what these lineups are going to look like in the next few hours. So hard pass for me on this game. What do you got?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was getting annoyed over here with my WordPress. I finally was able to get my stuff up. I'm not sure what happened there. But, yeah, I'm with you on this, man. I'd like to back the Reds against the Marlins, who, as you said, they're injured and they're just not scoring runs for the majority of the season pretty much. And they get Ashcraft, who's a righty. He's been a disaster lately. He's got that 6.67 road ERA. He got torched by the same Marlins team in his last scheduled start. Gave up 8 hits, 4 runs, and a bomb in 6 and 2 innings pitched. Fastball velo is tops in the majors, but his K and his whiff rate is at the bottom. So not quite sure what to make of that, except that his fastball is fast, but they're professional hitters, and they're catching up to it with no issues at all. Braxton Garrett has been serviceable, but he did get hit pretty good versus this Reds team in his last start as well. 7 hits and 5 earned in 5 innings pitched. And the Reds bullpen is trash. The Marlins pen has shown some improvement since the break, but I echo your sentiment on that. I've got nothing on this game. Hard pass.
All right, we're on the same page there. Much more interesting and compelling game in the next one. 9-5-5 New York Mets at 9-5-6 Washington Nationals. Compelling in the sense that Jacob deGrom is making his return in this game. The way I look at it, it's basically another rehab start for him. This is a Nationals lineup that is not going to be obviously with Juan Soto or Josh Bell. That's basically their entire major league offense. So really a AAA lineup at best that deGrom's taking on tonight in Washington. Mets as of last night, were minus 290 favorites. They're now minus 330. A little bit perplexing to see the odds move so much, given the fact that we kind of already knew Juan Soto and Josh Bell weren't going to be around by tonight. But I digress. Totals dropped from 8.5 to 8 overnight as well. Obviously it's going to be really expensive if you want to back Jacob deGrom here. Which direction are you going with it?
Get myself off of mute there. I am actually. I did a little bit of digging here. Is what I meant to say. First off, $3 price tag. Been a minute since we've seen that. I can't recall the last time I saw a $3 price tag on a starter returning from an injury. It's been a while, but we're probably going to see degromination tonight. Arguably the best starter in the league. Savant Page doesn't get much more red, which is a good thing. And he's still touching triple digits on the gun even after a scapular rehab, I believe was his issue. But on the other side, Corey Abbott's going to lead off the Nationals bullpen game. He's pretty good in the minors. It's only his second start, fourth appearance, but he's not going to go long, a couple of innings maybe. And then they're going to turn it over to the tire fire that is the Nats bullpen, seventh worst ERA, fourth worst FIP in the majors. So looking at deGrom, of course, you can't even come anywhere near even the run line in this game for New York. I mean, I suppose you could take a $3 price tag and put it on a parlay if you want. But I'm actually going to look at deGrom here. Typically, I defer to unders on outs and strikeouts when you get a pitcher, especially a high-level pitcher back out of a rehab assignment. And if you look at those assignments, his pitch count was only built up to about 67, 68 pitches. I don't think there's any way that, given the opponent, he's going to go into the fifth. I think maybe he sees a fifth. I just highly doubt it. He'd have to be extremely efficient, which is possible. But the Mets have a 3.5 game lead on the Braves right now in the East. I don't see any reason that they need to leave him out there. I'm assuming he'll face maybe about 12 batters. His strikeout prop is set at 6.5. Can he strike out half the side or less? Maybe. I'm going to gamble no, though. I'm going to hope that the first time through the lineup, they're going to take advantage of maybe some potential rust, extend their at-bats, maybe get JDG out of there a little earlier than the fifth frame, and under 6.5 strikeouts, plus 125 right now. So that's a pretty nice little number. Also, I'm on the Mets team total over 5.5. That's only a nickel juice. Their winners of 7 straight. They scored 6 runs or more in all but 2 in that current streak. I think they jump all over Abbott and the terrible Washington pin, further meaning that deGrom is not going to have to see too many more batters than the 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on most of it there. I do have a play here. I'm going to be on the no runs first inning, minus 120. I know you don't like it so much because you like the Mets to score some runs here. I think in general, I agree with you. I think with Juan Soto and Josh Bell obviously out of the picture, Jacob deGrom is probably going to come back throwing 100 in the first inning, and I think we've kind of got a shoe in on him throwing a scoreless bottom of the first. So I almost look at it as a no runs first half inning almost bet. And at minus 120, I think that's a little bit cheap. Obviously, the Mets haven't really seen this Abbott fella. None of us have really seen much of him at all. He's thrown 4 innings this season, 21 career innings. So, I don't know. I think a minus 120 where all we need is for this guy to throw a scoreless inning against the Mets. I think it's a pretty good number. So I'm going to be on the nerfy there. But other than that, I mean, look, we know what Jacob deGrom is. We don't really know what Corey Abbott is. Probably a bullpen game for Washington, if we're being honest, overall. But yeah, I mean, the Mets, I actually, one thing that you touched on that I really like, the Mets minus 330 as a potential parlay piece. If there are some teams out there on the board, like I think the Dodgers tonight maybe are a team that you might want to parlay with the Mets on the money lines. And we'll get to that one in a little bit. But, they could be used to make a money line a little more palatable on another team.
Yeah, I think we've got 3 or 4 heavy favorites. When I say heavy, I mean 220, 240 or higher. So there's a lot of opportunity to put together some really nice legs on some parlays. So it's definitely a way to look. And shout out to Thug and D in the chat. He likes Mets double result minus 180. I don't hate that either. I think it's going to be a complete domination. But they can start their domination after the first inning. That way Dalton can catch his nerfy.
Sounds good. All right, next game we've got 9-5-7 Milwaukee Brewers, 9-5-8 Pittsburgh Pirates tonight from beautiful PNC Park. Over under 7.5 in that one. That's going to be Corbin Burns and Bryce Wilson. I've got a play here very similar to my Mets -1.5 play yesterday. We've got one of the best starting pitchers in baseball in Corbin Burns on the bump against one of the absolute worst in baseball in Bryce Wilson. I hate to be so square, but it's just I've got to do it. Brewers -1.5 comes in at -144. I think that price should look a little bit more like DeGrom's -1.5 looks today. You look at what Burns has done against the Pirates for his career: 6-0 with a 2.63 against Pittsburgh, 3-0 on the road at PNC Park with a 2.88. He has absolutely dominated them throughout his career. Pittsburgh may be selling off even more pieces by the time tonight's game comes around. I think Milwaukee is a team that, yes, they traded away Josh Hader, but they picked up Taylor Rogers, who, for the purposes of this game, I think is a reasonable facsimile at closer. They've also made a couple other moves to kind of bolster the bullpen. I think that they're going to be just fine. Looking at Bryce Wilson, this is a guy who's bottom 10% of the league, or bottom 10% of starting pitchers in the league in exit velocity against, expected WOBA against, expected ERA, expected batting average against, expected slugging percentage against, K percentage, whiff percentage, and fastball spin. He is one of the absolute worst pitchers in the game. Milwaukee is fifth in baseball against right-handed pitchers, fourth in baseball against right-handed pitchers in WRC plus since the 1st of July. You look at Bryce Wilson, another note on him, 8.20 home ERA. So I think this is a great spot for Milwaukee to come out and handle business with relative ease against the Pirates. I think -144 is perfectly cheap for them on the run line tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. You go ahead and color us both squares because it's a perfect spot. Corbin Burns, he's still in 2021 Cy Young form. 2.13 ERA against a 2.79 expected. That's top 5 of the league. Spin, whiff, chase, K rate, all tops in the league as well. The 1.57 road ERA is actually slightly better than his home number. That's just bonkers, man. Crew is 7-2 in their last 9, with the exception of that flub in Boston series finale. They've been knocking the cover off the ball. Sit 7th in WOBA, I think 8th or 9th in WRC plus. Bryce Wilson, like you said, not good. 1-6, 6.13 ERA, expected at 5.63. So maybe he doesn't suck as much today, but he's going to get no backer from the Pirates. And they already dealt, Bogle back, last week. And a bunch of the guys are on the chopping block: Marisnik, Ben Gamble, Kevin Newman. You don't really need to overthink this any further. It's a very, very, very fair number on the Crew on the run line. And I might even get greedy and look at the alt run line and give me some plus money. But yeah, they're going to dominate Pittsburgh. First and worst, right? Pittsburgh is 17 back. Crew's first place in the Central. 9-23 against the Brewers over the last 2 seasons. So to say that Milwaukee owns the Bucks would just be an understatement. So it checks all the boxes. It'll be a big play for me. Brewers are online.
Sounds good. Yeah, that might end up being a 2-unit play for me by the time the plays get posted for tonight. All right, next game, we've got 9-5-9 Philadelphia Phillies at 9-6-0 Atlanta Braves. Tonight from Atlanta, it's going to be Nick Nelson and Spencer Strider on the mound in that one. Braves, massive favorites, -220. Phillies, +200 on the road. Over, under 8 runs. I've got a strong lean here. I have a feeling we might be aligned. I'll let you go ahead and dive in first.
You know who my favorite rookie is, so you already know what my play is. It's Spencer Strider Day. I think he's going to bring the stash out and dominate. In fact, I might grow a mustache just like Spencer Strider. If I did, would you still do shows with me?
Yeah. Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
He went against the Ponies last month. Excuse me. I think it was right after the break. He threw 6 scoreless. He threw 6. Pardon me. He threw 6, but it was 1 home run by Kyle Schwarber. I remember being salty about that because I had a couple of bucks on Schwarber out of the home run derby, and as he saved it just to hit it against Strider the next day. Anyway, otherwise he's been elite. He's 2.91 ERA to 2.76 expected, which means he can actually get better, if you can imagine that. Expected opponent batting average, slugging, WOBA, they're all elite. And the strikeout rate is 37.2%. That is a top 1% in the majors. The guy's pretty much unstoppable. Phillies just swept the Bucks, and then they took 2 or 3 against these same defending champs, but that was back at Citizens. So they're coming in with a head of steam, but they got Nick Nelson out there, and I'm not quite sure why. He's their long reliever. He's probably not going to go past 3 innings, I wouldn't imagine. and I think that would be his longest appearance this season. So this is basically a de facto bullpen game. The Phil's bullpen's actually been pretty good. 14th in ERA, 15th in xFIP, limiting home runs under 0.86 home runs per 9. They've got several closers with sub 2 ERAs, and everyone's rested up, and they're still top 3 in ERA since May. So Nelson's been good too in his last 11. A lot of walks, though. That's the only concern with him. The Phil's offense has been average, slightly better versus righties, but I think Strider shoves today. He's going to turn it over to an elite Atlanta bullpen who's been sporting one of the best ERAs in the major. So I'm going to fanboy out on Strider. Give me the first 5 minus the half. And I actually like the under as well. It's a bit of a low number, 8.5, but I think both bullpens should limit damage after the starters are removed. And I'm also small the Nerfy for that game as well.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of action there. Like you said, Philly going with basically a bullpen game here. A little note on Nick Nelson. He has faced Atlanta twice this year. Both were one-inning outings, and he gave up runs in both of those outings. So he's been pitching pretty okay recently, but Atlanta does get to him when he comes out of the bullpen against them. This is a Philly bullpen that has looked better than expected for most of this season, but since July 15th, they're 23rd in baseball with a 4.46 ERA. So you look at the last 2.5 weeks, not so hot. You look at Atlanta's bullpen, 17th in baseball over that span, 3.89, so pretty run-of-the-mill. Atlanta's just playing exceptionally good baseball. They just swept Arizona over the weekend. They've been hot for the better part of really a month and a half. They're clearly buyers at the deadline. The Phillies are clearly buyers as well. I mean, they just picked up David Robertson while we've been on air, so they're clearly looking to continue to bolster that bullpen. But yeah, I mean, my strong lean was Atlanta minus 1.5, and I think you've talked me into it. Play. I just think that the Braves are in really good form right now. The offense is rolling. They're playing really well at home. The Phillies bullpen is okay, but they're got to get through 9 innings against this lineup. I have a feeling Atlanta is going to end up putting up 6 or 7 runs by the time it's all said and done. So I will go ahead and ride on Atlanta minus 1.5. I'm showing that at I think about minus 115, but that'll be up in the Touch 'em All picks article that we put up on SportsMap Elite when we're all done here. The final odds that we get on that. Moving on down the board, we've got 961 Chicago Cubs, 962 St. Louis Cardinals from St. Louis tonight. Cubs dealing from that bullpen as we speak. It's one interesting note there. I have the Cubs as the number 1 bullpen in baseball since July 1st. I wouldn't make too much of that going into this game because those guys are gone. It's going to be Keegan Thompson and Adam Wainwright. Cardinals minus 163 favorites. Cubs plus 143. Over under 8. What do you got here?
I'm going to have a significant play on the Cardinals today. It's going to be a fate of the Cubs. They're going to be moving a lot more pieces up until the deadline. Looks like Wilson Contreras and probably Happ are also on the block. And if it doesn't happen, I mean, Waino's been dominant at home this season. Just hair over 2 ERA, and he's coming off of a really, really nice performance. He spun a gem in Toronto. He was actually able to shut down the mighty Blue Jays. Keegan Thompson, you and I have talked about Keegan Thompson at length. He's been a sneaky good play-on pitcher, but only at Wrigley. I don't want any part of his 4.4 road ERA, and he's been much worse on the road with it. It's just he's not someone I back unless it is in Chicago. Scott Efros, he's already been sent to New York. You just mentioned David Robertson. I actually, on my notes, says he's already probably packing his suitcase right now. Cards are going to be buyers, not sellers with Waymo on the mound. I got no reason to think any harder than this. You can get the Cardinals on the run line right now as I update plus 120. So, yeah, give me the Cards run line minus 1.5 plus 120. That's probably going to be my second largest bet of the day next to the Brewers run line.
Yeah, I lean that way as well, for all the same reasons you just touched on. The only things that keep me off of it, Keegan Thompson, I know he hasn't pitched as well on the road, but I do respect him a bit. And he's got a much, much prettier baseball savant page than Adam Wainwright. If you look at Wainwright's savant page, it's actually screaming negative regression. His expected ERA is around 4.5. The problem is I just don't think that this Cubs, like the Cubs, the way they're going to be constructed tonight, can really be the team to take advantage of that. So I don't know. I would lean that way as well. I just don't quite have the conviction you do with Wayno right now.
And I probably wouldn't be as strong on the opinion if I didn't see what he just pulled off in Toronto. He's coming in great form, and again, he plays really well at Bush. So I got no reason to think that he's not going to show up today against this iteration of the Cubs, who are, like you said, it's been a fire sale pretty much lately for them.
Well, and Wainwright Bush has been a thing throughout his entire career,
Exactly.
literally dating back to I remember the 2013 playoffs, Cardinals Dodgers. The whole thing was you wanted to face Wainwright, in your home ballpark because he struggled on the road. He was complaining about the white towels and whatever. But at Busch Stadium, he's always been lights out. 2.01 home ERA this year for him. So that's not just a this year thing. That's a forever thing with Wayno.
Yep.
Next game. We are heading out west for Dodgers Giants. I'm excited about this one. I've got a play on my Dodgers at minus 140 tonight. Giants going to be plus 120 at home, over under 8 runs here. Tyler Anderson on the mound for the Dodgers against Alex Wood for San Francisco. This is a pretty straightforward play for me on Dodgers minus 140. I think they should be a much bigger favorite. This is a Giants team that clearly is looking to sell. They just traded Darren Ruff a few minutes ago while we've been on air. Darren Ruff is one of their best weapons to hit left-handed pitching, and I wouldn't be surprised if they end up trading maybe a Wilmer Flores, maybe somebody else by the time this game actually goes off. Tyler Anderson just dominated San Francisco 2 starts ago, 6 innings, 1 hit, no earned. The Giants have the 29th best bullpen since mid-July. That showed again last night as the Dodgers were able to easily extend the lead and beat the hell out of them. You look at Alex Wood, pretty average stats in Baseball Savant. His 1.65 ERA in July is really pretty, but 3 unearned runs being counted in his last few starts. You actually look at his last 3 starts, 7 runs in 15 innings. So, he's been okay, but he hasn't been as great as the numbers might suggest. Whereas Tyler Anderson's great season has really been backed up by a good Savant page, expected ERA around 2.9. You also look at Anderson here. He hasn't allowed an earned run since July 8th. That's 19 consecutive scoreless innings for him. So I think this is a little bit of a downtrodden San Francisco team. They've been really struggling. The Dodgers bullpen is now getting back up into the top third of the league over the last 2-3 weeks. I've got them at number 11 since July 15th. So to me, Dodgers minus 140 is just too cheap. I think they should be more like minus 180, minus 200 here at San Francisco. What do you think?
I didn't take down too many notes in this game. Typically, if it's the Dodgers playing, I just defer to whatever your opinion is. I especially, and this is pretty typical regardless of the division, but when you have 2 strong teams and it's division rivalry, it's just really hard to get a side. The numbers are usually sharp and the games are typically unpredictable. That being said, anytime you can get the LA Dodgers at minus 140, that's a great opportunity to go ahead and take them just because they're so damn good. Also, something that I've been doing a lot with the Dodgers lately is take a look at whoever the starting pitcher is. If the starting pitcher is giving up a lot of barrels or is giving up a lot of hard contact, if their batted ball profile indicates that everybody's getting the sweet spot on them, that's usually a good thing for this Dodgers team, who makes probably the most contact. Actually, they do make the most contact. Pardon me. In the majors, I was going to say the Yankees, but their contact either ends in a home run or nothing. Wood not making a whole lot of strikeouts, 39% hard hit rate. Dodgers don't strike out hardly at all. I think they're going to jump on them pretty early, and this is where I think the Dodgers are really going to break away on the game. That Giants bullpen has just gotten to be so damn bad. I think last I looked at their metrics, they're bottom 8 in most of the categories that you and I value. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great price. It's probably a Dodgers win by at least a run or 2 tonight. But again, you've got that NL West rivalry, and these teams always play each other tough. So Dodgers for the right price, but I'm not gonna put a whole lot of coin on it.
Sounds good. I'm actually investing in it a little bit further right now, just because the Giants trading away Darren Ruff. He's the main bat in that lineup that scares me against left-handed pitching. So him being out of the picture while we talk is really kind of pushing me that way even further. All right, well, moving into the second game of the doubleheader here between the Rockies and Padres. This is going to be Jose Urena and Reese Neer tonight. Padres minus 180 favorites, Rockies plus 165, over under 8.5. We talked a little bit about these teams earlier. I'd say this is a little bit of a weaker pitching matchup in the second game. I've got a play here, but I'll let you go ahead and kick it off and let me know what you've got here first.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. I mean, you and I have the same philosophy about game twos on doubleheaders. We got to see how the offensive forms are looking in game one and see what the bullpen usage was in game one. That being said, I feel pretty confident you can go ahead and put a marker down on the Padres. Jose Urania has not been good. 16 runs, 12 earned in his only 2 appearances since the break. 16 hits, 16 runs. Sorry, I got that backwards. Expected numbers suggest that the team's pitching machine might have more success versus a big league team than Urania. I think the Pods are over 800 OPS versus him as a collective. And is it Kinner?
It's just near. Yeah,
near.
Yeah,
near. All right. First start of the season, he looked good in 3 relief appearances, though. I think he did about 8 innings pitched on that one. You've got to go to his minor league numbers to see any kind of sample as a starter. And that ERA was over 6. Last year as a rookie, I think he had a 4.8 in 30-ish innings. So you really don't know what you're going to get from him. My lean's going to go off the same cap I did for game 1. So Pods on the run line. I'm probably going to go ahead and put a marker down on it because you can get plus money right now. I think it's plus 110, 115. Depending on how bad the Padres open up on the Rockies in game 1, that number's not going to be there. So my recommendation is the Padres run line for game 2, but I will probably make an official play after I see a good amount of game 1.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree on the Padres offensively in game 2. You look at Jose Urania, his first couple starts in Colorado, I was screaming at anybody who would listen that he was getting incredibly lucky. He had the start in LA where he gave up about 15 different fly balls with a warning track and got out of it with like 6 innings, 2 runs. Had a good start against San Diego where he was just dodging all sorts of base runners. And then his last 2 starts, it's all come crashing down like we eventually thought it would. His last 2 starts, 8.1 innings of work, 16 runs have crossed the plate against him, 5 walks. So he's fallen apart. He is who we thought he was. He's terrible, to be honest. So I think San Diego is going to score plenty tonight again. On the flip side, though, I actually think Colorado might score a bit against Reese Neer. I'm just not a believer in the guy. Interesting fact, you mentioned that he's pitched 8.1 innings this year and he's looked okay. All 8.1 of those innings, which is over 3 appearances, all of it against the Rockies. That's the only major league team he's faced this year. So this is the 4th time they've seen him now. This is a guy with a 6.85 ERA for the El Paso Chihuahuas in AAA. I'm just, look, good for him that he hasn't given up anything yet in the big leagues this season. But I think we both know what he is and what he isn't. This is not a guy who would be on the roster under normal circumstances. This is a pure AAA pitcher. I'm going to be on yes run first innings, the Yurfie here at minus 110. Between Urania and Reese Neer taking on the top of these 2 lineups, I just don't know how we get through it unscathed. So I'm going to go ahead and watch the first inning intently of game 2. And I think it also helps a little bit that both lineups are going to have, already taken some at-bats on the day. They'll be comfortable with the backdrop of the ballpark, hopefully in a little bit of a rhythm. So, yeah, I like yes run first inning, comes in at minus 110. I think it shouldn't be so cheap. So that's going to be my side in that one.
I like that. I'll tell you on that one. I like that too. Anytime I can root for some offense in the first 6 up, always a good thing.
Next game down, we're heading into the AL finally. 9-6-7 Seattle Mariners, 9-6-8 New York Yankees from the Bronx. Yankees minus 1. We're under 8.5 in this one. I've got some notes. I don't have a play here. Certainly an interesting matchup. What do you make of it?
I don't have a play either. I'll start because I don't have too much on this. It's Logan Gilbert. He's kind of like Keegan there. He's kind of been a sneaky play on pitcher, especially since the break. He hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in every start last month, except for Toronto putting 4 on him. But that included 2 starts against Houston as well. His actual to expected is cause for alarm. He is still a very, very dangerous pitcher in that he gives up a huge hard ball percentage. And that's not going to play well with the bats of the New York Yankees. James Talion at home. Trying to get to the guy at home has been a task. 3.16 RA, 3.09 FIP, and an expected 3.7. He's just been dominant at home, and he's been even better since Boston blew him up a few weeks ago. Mariners bullpen has not been dependable the last 2 weeks. Gilbert might have to stay in a bit longer than manager Scott Service would probably like him. And the Mariners lineup has been borderline slumping since the All-Star break, and they've not been doing well against right-handed pitchers. I think the Yankees money line minus 165 is probably spot on, and plus 145 is not enough for me to gamble with Gilbert. So I just don't see the value on the game, but I'm pretty sure I know how it's going to go. Actually, I do lean under 8.5 would be my only lean on this game, but I've already got a lot of action on the board today, so it'll be a pass.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it too. Logan Gilbert, you touched on his peripherals when Baseball Savant being horrible. They really are. It's pretty remarkable that he's sitting here with an ERA under 3 on the season. That being said, I look at his most recent results: 2 or fewer earned runs in 4 of his last 5 starts. So he's kind of been holding them up. Still pitching pretty well. He threw 7 shutout innings against the Yankees in his 1 appearance against them last year. So, I don't know. I think, maybe he'll hold his own here. Maybe he won't. It's really hard to say. I kind of feel the same way about Tyone. Obviously, the advanced metrics on Tyone are a little bit better, but ERA over 5 for him in the month of July. So a little bit concerning there, but he has been better in his last 3 starts. 14.2 innings of work, 3 earned in those appearances. So getting a little better of late. Tyone doesn't walk anybody, which always makes him a little bit more comfortable of a guy to bet on if you do like his current form. I could certainly see an argument for Yankees first 5 minus half a run, maybe Yankees on the run line here if you can get a little bit of plus money on it. I think those are some interesting ways to look at it, but Seattle's definitely still trying to buy. They're definitely still signaling that they're all in. So I don't know. I think I'm going to go ahead and stay away from it. The line is about what I would have made it. So no reason to force the play. Next game, we've got 9-6-9 Toronto Blue Jays, 9-7-0 Tampa Bay Rays from the Trop. Blue Jays small favorites minus 140, over under 7 runs in this one. I'm not sure if the total has kicked up a little bit here or not. I gave it out last night at SportsMap Elite as an over at 7. I got that at minus 115. Absolutely stand by that today. This is a case where you look at Kevin Gausman, elite K in walk numbers, but he's been giving up harder than average contact. His expected ERA for the season is about 3.6, suggesting a little bit of negative regression coming his way. He has faced Tampa already twice this year, but posted an ERA over 5 for the month of July. He really struggled in his last 2 starts, 9 2/3 innings, 8 earned, 3 homers in those starts. You look at last year, kind of a similar script where he was really good the first 2 or 3 months of the season and faded down the stretch. Part of me wonders if that's just kind of who Kevin Gausman is. Looking at these 2 teams against righties, they're both facing righties today. Toronto number 1, Tampa number 5 in WRC plus against right-handed pitching since the 1st of July. So these are 2 offenses that are really teeing off on right-handed starters. You look at Drew Rasmussen, he's got good numbers overall in the year, but the Baseball Savant numbers for him suggest that there's big negative regression coming his way. His expected ERA on the season's over 4. He's already faced Toronto twice this year as well. He did put up pretty good numbers in July, and he's looked pretty good at home. But I think this is just one of those things where a number like 7 for a total. I need 2 high end starting pitchers on the bump, and I just don't quite think that's what I have here. I've got 2 guys who are due for negative regression, 2 offenses that have been killing right-handed pitching. So to me, it's a really good spot to get an over on a number that's probably half a run or a run too low.
Get myself off of mute there. Yeah, Gausman, he's just not passing the eye test for me. The metrics are there, the Ks are there. It just seems like every time I bet on him, I lose. And he looked like absolute crap in his last start versus St. Louis. I think it was 5 runs on 8 hits and didn't even make it to the 5th. You already touched on it. Drew Rasmussen's a huge negative regression candidate. Actual ERA sitting at 3.7, expected 4.11 is allowing he's going to allow 2.47 expected, and the very high hard hit rate, 43.2%. Even though the Rays are not hitting the ball well, like you said, they are producing against righties. So this might be a good spot for them to get their groove back. Jays, on the other hand, they've been scoring more runs than everyone but New York. Since the break, I think they're averaging 7.5 runs per game. Rays 3.2. Again, they still could get right, though. July numbers for the Pens are also stark different. The Jays bullpen has actually been pretty decent, and the Rays has just regressed badly at 21st in ERA right now. Total does feel too low. My concern is the Rays might not carry their end. I feel a little more comfortable checking the Jays on the money line, minus 130. I think that's a pretty fair price. I do lean strongly to the over 7, and it's still available right now. I just checked a couple books. It's juiced pretty good, 120, 125-ish. But I think my play will be Jay's money line minus 130, and then I'll do a little sprinkle on that over because that was a lean before, but you definitely convinced me on it.
All right. Sounds good. We've got the next game here, 9-7-1 Detroit Tigers, 9-7-2 Minnesota Twins. Twins fairly significant home favorites at Target Field tonight. Over under 9 runs in this one. It's going to be Matt Manning on the mound for Detroit against Chris Archer for Minnesota. This is another game. I don't have anything here. I really dove in detail on it and just couldn't find an angle that was worth playing. Do you happen to have a play here?
No, I don't. I'm glad you dove in on it because I certainly did not. You got Manning who's bad. He's got Manning who's back from the dead. You got Archer who's a dumpster fire. Tigers can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag. Both bullpens are pretty good though. I mean, snapshot, I'd say maybe the under, but I didn't pay attention to this game more than 10 minutes. These are just two teams I'm just not interested in. So what you got on, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in the Twins in general. One of my good buddies works for them, so they've kind of been my AL team. So I follow them pretty closely. You look at Chris Archer, really below average in Baseball Savant, below average overall. So there's not a whole lot of hope there, but Detroit just doesn't hit right-handed pitching, and they just traded away a switch hitter in Robbie Grossman, making them even worse against right-handed pitching. Perfect example was Aaron Sanchez, who came in with an ERA around 8.5 coming in last night and pitching well against Detroit. All you have to do is throw a righty at them, and that righty's going to have a pretty decent start. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that from Chris Archer. Matt Manning hasn't pitched a whole lot this year. 8 innings, 2 earned. That looks good, but his expected ERA in that limited sample is closer to 5. He allowed 6 runs in 10 innings last year against Minnesota. Posted a horrifying Baseball Savant season last year. So I don't think you can really have any positive expectations for Matt Manning. Twins, obviously, the much better team against right-handed pitching. Both bullpens have been elite of late. You touched on that. I think I could probably lean on Minnesota first 5 run line, but when I checked on that last night, that was way too expensive. So just can't quite get there. Maybe a team total under on Detroit, but it is Chris Archer on the mound. I don't know. I can't quite find a good enough reason to play this game. So onward we go. Next one, 9-7-3 Baltimore Orioles, 9-7-4 Texas Rangers. Rangers a very small favorite here at home, over under 8.5. I've got to play on a side here. I'll go ahead and dive right into it. I'm playing Baltimore as an underdog here, plus 112. I know they just traded away Trey Mancini. I know that they just traded away Jorge Lopez. They've just been so much better than Texas has since the start of July. And if we're being real, Texas is probably more of a seller than a buyer themselves. Looking at these two teams of late, Baltimore 19-6 since the 1st of July. Texas 10-18 since the 1st of July. Baltimore's won all 4 matchups that they've had against Texas during that time. Jordan Lyles actually pitched pretty well against. He actually. Well, hold on. No. Jordan Lyles did not face Texas. On the other side, Spencer Howard got lit up by Baltimore when he faced him earlier this year. Spencer Howard's a guy that I like to fade. I'm fading him again in this spot. Expected ERA on him around 5.5. He's near the bottom of the barrel across the board. And you look at Jordan Lyles. He had the one bad start against Tampa on July 17th. Other than that, in the month of July, 30 innings, 7 earned. Very solid. So I'm not any kind of a Jordan Lyles truther, but I think he's better than Spencer Howard right now. You look at these two teams against right-handed pitching. Baltimore 4th in the league in WRC+. Texas 23rd in the league in WRC+. That's that's since July 1st. Baltimore's bullpen's been a lot better since July 1st as well. So I think Baltimore's the better team, to be honest with you. I think they're the better team. They're in better form. I know they're trading away a couple pieces, but those guys who are going out there are still fighting their butts off. So I like Baltimore as an underdog here. I'd make the game closer to a pick 'em. So not a huge value spot, but Baltimore plus 112 is definitely the side for me.
Yeah, Lyle returns to Globe Life Field. Small plus money dog. This is kind of odd to me. He's a small dog, even after the Orioles beat Texas yesterday 7-2. And even after they stay undefeated versus Texas on the season, and even after holding a +8 run differential in that 4-0 domination so far in the series head-to-head. But, like you said, Lopez to the Twins, Trey Mancini to my Astros. I don't want anything to do with Texas. Spencer Howard on the mound for every reason you just touched on. And there's the revenge motivation for Lyles going back to Arlington. But you and I talk all the time about motivation not really being a factor to Cap. These guys are professionals. Motivation's supposed to be out there every day. But Lyles has still been up and down all season as well. Better recently in July. Pardon me. My lean is Baltimore, especially because the Rangers bullpen was used pretty extensively yesterday. John Gray left in the second with shoulder discomfort, I think, something like that. Both teams produced versus righties. My alert went off on my app this morning. There'd be significant wind, which means double digits in Arlington. It's going to be blowing out 12 to 15 miles an hour out, pardon me. So I think 8.5 is a tad too low. It's already been going up, at least on the juice. It could get to 9, but I think we get some runs today. Orioles and Rangers over 8.5 is going to be a very small play for me today.
One question on the wind. You know if they're going to have the roof open there tonight?
The assumption is the roof will be open.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. All right. On to the next one. 975 Kansas City Royals. 976 Chicago White Sox. White Sox pretty decent favorites, -165. Royals +155. Over under 8.5 here. Royals going to Brad Keller. White Sox going to Lucas Giolito. I have a lean here. Don't have an official play. I don't know what I'll let you go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did all my capping on this one when Singer was still announced, so I went ahead and pulled back. My lean was to the Royals with Singer on the mound. Actually, probably would have been a play. But with Keller on the mound, I don't know. I can't get there. The White Sox bats, though, they've been as sleepy as Tony La Russa. So even if you run Keller out there as opposed to Singer, they're just slumping so badly right now. Lucas Giolito, that's a slump buster right there. That guy's getting hit everywhere. Worse home than road. Giving up too many home runs. Walks have gotten better, but he's still 3.5 per 9. Neither him nor the Chicago White Sox are a team I would back. Yeah, I got no play on this, bud. Again, my expectation was Singer, and then I took my attention away from it. But anyway, what you got on it?
Yeah, I mean, no official play. I lean Kansas City the first 5 innings on the run line at +0.5 a run. Lucas Giolito has looked like Washington Nationals Lucas Giolito this year. He's really just been bad. 4.5 expected ERA. He has faced Kansas City once, 5 innings, 2 earned. Take from that. Both these teams have been hovering between 10th and 15th against righties since early July. You look at Giolito, ERA of 5 in July, 9 earned runs in his last 8 innings of work. So he's really just been struggling. Both these bullpens are actually bottom third in the league since mid-July as well. So I think there's potential for quite a few runs. I lean over. I will say Brad Keller's pitched pretty well against the White Sox. 14 innings of work, 4 earned runs against him this year. He pitched okay in July, 3.77 ERA, but he was a lot better in the first half of the month. He struggled in his last couple starts. His Baseball Savant page says he's roughly average. His ERA is about 4.5 on the road, so that doesn't really inspire confidence. Very much mixed results against the White Sox overall for his career too. So just way too much variance in this game. I can't really imagine an angle that would make me feel good in it. So nothing. 977 Boston Red Sox, 978 Houston Astros. Astros -200 favorites here, over under 8. I don't have a play here. I'll let you go ahead and talk about your Astros a bit.
Who, my Astros?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good day yesterday. I was actually just chopping it up with Fred. I was like, man, can you remember the last time we had a catcher hitting over 250 that wasn't like, a substitute catcher like Jason Castro or somebody like that? And we had to do some digging, but we finally got that with Christian Vasquez. He's been one of the best hitting catchers in all of baseball, pretty much all season. He should suit up tonight, as well as Trey Mancini. So, I mean, those two guys immediately into the lineup, probably, that's our seventh or eighth best hitter, if that tells you what the kind of offense that we've got out there. So it was a really, really good move. I think it sets us up real nice to compete with Toronto and with New York, because I mean, who's really it's us three is pretty much all it is the way I see it, and pretty much the trend is going. But Red Sox are probably going to end up selling a few key players before game time, I think. I know JD Martinez has been talked about a lot amongst some of the pitchers in the bullpen. But for tonight, Cutter Crawford, he's been holding down the fort, eating innings, walks, long balls, keeping those down. I mean, he's been pretty damn serviceable. Christian Javier, he's just been filthy. He's just been extremely dominant, especially at home. I think the Astros win handily. That Red Sox bullpen is still awful. ERA still over 9. I'm on the rum line, and this would be an excellent money line parlay piece for perhaps the who the heck were we just talking about earlier? The Mets. But yep, that's my play tonight. Give me the Astros on the run line.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm just not quite as bullish on Christian Javier as you are right now. I just don't feel like I've seen it from him recently. You look what he's done since July 1st, ERA of 4.56 since then, and that's despite facing some pretty poor lineups. You look at his last 5 starts: Anaheim, Kansas City, Anaheim, Yankees, Oakland. And actually, the game against the Yankees was a game where he pitched pretty well. Through 5 innings, gave up 1 earned. So I don't know. He kind of worries me a bit. That being said, you look at those starts in detail. He hasn't given up more than 5 hits in any of them. So it's not like teams are filling up the base paths and causing all sorts of havoc against him. The problem is he started walking a few too many batters, and he's giving up too many homers. Some of that could regress back. I wouldn't be surprised by it. I'm pretty high on Christian Javier, like generally as a starting pitcher, but I'm a little worried about what I've seen from him recently. That being said, ERA is around 2.5 at Minute Maid Park. Last year against Boston, 7 innings, 2 runs over 2 starts, 5 shutout innings against them in the postseason last year. So you look overall, that's 12 innings of 2-run work against Boston last season. So clearly feels pretty comfortable pitching against them. Boston is selling. Houston is buying. We saw it with Christian Vasquez changing dugouts last night. That's certainly not a zero factor here. That being said, just Christian Javier's current form at -200 is a little too expensive for me to be interested. Carter Crawford has been pitching okay, but I think Houston should be favored to win the game. I'd probably make them more like -170, -180 than -200. I just can't argue in favor of a -1.5 with them. I'm not going to be playing the game, so I'll be wishing you luck. But I don't know, Christian Javier just kind of scares me a little bit recently.
Yeah, a quick note on that. Sorry, let me just refresh my book real quick. If you take a look at Christian Javier's, you mentioned recent form, which is always something we put a ton of weight in, but his opponent expected batting average is 177. That's elite in the majors. Strikeout rate, 33.6%, also elite in the majors. ERA, 3.26 to an expected 2.81. So this, to me, exactly how you just described the last few appearances on the game log, says to me that he's in a bit of a slump right now. But every metric and previous performance this season says that he is going to bounce back. And this is a perfect team to do it against. Now, I'm looking for my first 5 right now because if what happened yesterday hadn't happened and this were a game in like May or something, this would be a tremendous opportunity to get some good, nice plus money with Cutter Crawford, with how you mentioned Javier's performance has been, and with Crawford being pretty damn solid. The value is there. But because it's the trade deadline, because Vasquez had to go walk across the diamond to go throw on another jersey, all that stuff just kind of plays against it. But is the price tag too high? Yes. Is the run line too high? Not for me. I think they get it done tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more likely than not. I think, especially look at the direction of these two teams. Red Sox may not have JD Martinez by then, so yeah.
We're also banking on Martinez as well. That number could skyrocket.
Yeah, I don't mind it. A's and Angels 979-980. I'm going to be honest. I think this game is probably not going to look anything like this. It's supposed to be Cole Irvin against Noah Syndergaard. One, if not two of those guys is going to be dealt in the next 90 minutes.
I will bet you that Irvin will be wearing a different team's jersey here before game time. Well, not literally, but yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, so I tried to handicap this game a little bit. I do have two plays if these are the starters. Okay. I've got Oakland first 5 innings plus 112. I've got first 5 under 4 because Cole Irvin, I think, should be okay against the Anaheim lineup that is absolutely awful against left-handed pitching. Anaheim has a WRC plus of 50 against left-handed pitching. That's one of those stats where the average number is 100. So tells you all you need to know there. Cole Irvin has been pretty good all season. Oakland's been playing better baseball than Anaheim of late. So regardless of who the starters are here, I'm going to be looking for a way to bet Oakland. Regard probably not going to make his start. He has been better at home. There's just not all that much to be said right now. We don't know. I mean, Brandon Marsh just got traded away from the Angels in the last few minutes. I don't know what the hell is taking the Angels so long to be sellers other than Artie Moreno just having his head up his ass. I don't know what their deal is, but I would say in general that I'm looking to back Oakland here if they're an underdog in some form. It depends on who ends up starting the game. But, I mean, we don't really know who's going to be playing in this baseball game. So,
yeah, the Angels are just in such bad form right now. Can you imagine having Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout and being sellers right now? I mean, just gross. Just gross.
You just have to look at the rest of the roster.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, there's your money right there. There's your money tied up right there. Or maybe just bad scouting. I couldn't say, but you give me plus money on Oakland tonight, I'll probably bite. Angels, would you say second worst in the league in WOBA against lefties? That's what I wrote down.
I was looking at WRC plus.
Oh, WRC plus. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll go. Cool. They're also second worst against lefties. That's assuming if Irvin starts. Yeah. But it's a gross matchup. You'd like to think that you could safely play the under here because of all the confusion. But the A's been playing really good baseball lately, like you said. They did drop the series against the Sox, but they put 10 runs up against Chicago. Then they swept the Astros. That came out of nowhere. And then they lose an offensive, and that was an offensive shootout as well. Same thing with the Rangers. Even they won that series, 2 out of 1. I mean, Athletics been hitting the damn ball lately. I mean, I would love to take them at a plus price. I need to see what's going to happen by 5 p.m. my time today. I'll be watching that one very closely. I'm with you on that. I like the A's at a plus money number tonight.
Sounds good. Last game on the board tonight, the only interleague matchup. Just a classic rivalry being renewed between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Cleveland Guardians. It's going to be Zach Gallen and Tristan on the mound. A couple good young starting pitchers. Guardians small favorites minus 133. Diamondbacks plus 123 on the road. Over under 7.5 here. This is going to be another no runs first inning. Another nerfy play for me at minus 125. I know you're on board with me there. Zach Gallen, mostly a slightly above average savant page, expected ERA around 3.5. He's pitched to an ERA of about 3 flat in July. His last 3 starts have been especially good. 18.2 innings of work, 3 earned runs in those. These teams are both around average against righties, but I don't think either one of these lineups are going to present you with a ton of intimidating options early on in the game. As long as I can avoid Jose Ramirez bobbing one out of the yard, I'll feel pretty good on the no runs first inning. Both bullpens have actually been really good, so I think a full game under probably has some merit to it as well. The two bullpens are both in the top 5 in baseball since July 15th. So just a little nugget there. Tristan McKenzie's savant page, not very strong, but it's impossible to ignore how good he's been in July. We talked about it on last Thursday's show as well. He did give up 4 runs in that last outing, but Still a 1.34 ERA for the month. What's really impressed me with him, he's starting to really get better on the walks and strikeout side of things. 33 strikeouts, 9 walks in the month of July. So, I think this is a good spot for a bit of a slow start. Nerfy at minus 125, I think, is pretty cheap. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and go with here. I know you like the Nerfy as well, but talk me through what else you've got here.
Yeah, no, I love the Nerfy. Diamondbacks aren't hitting right now. I think they've cashed the Nerfy in 8 or 9 of their last 10 on their side, and I think they're over 80% to the Nerfy for the season. It's not a good hitting team, at least definitely not in the first frame. Everything you spoke about McKenzie, I mean, I'd love to go out and have beers with him and Spencer Strider. That'd be an awesome night out. Love the Guardians today. I don't really have anything to add to what you had said. My play is on the Guardians' first 5 money line. Gallon worries me a bit, but I'm a little more high on McKenzie. So yeah, I don't have anything to add to him, man. Nerfy, I'm strong on, and give me the Guardians' first 5 money line.
Sounds good. One other note, just something that just went down. The Reds just traded Brandon Drury to the Padres. Believe it or not, that actually pushes me, I think, onto the Marlins tonight on the money line at minus 130. Brandon Drury is the heart and soul of the Reds when they take on a lefty. So I think Braxton Garrett, who's been pitching pretty well overall, I think this works in his favor. I'm probably going to play that in the first 5 innings so as to avoid the 2 crazy bullpens here. But I mean, I'll post it. Obviously, I'm going to update my SportsMap Elite article here before game time. So I would suggest going and checking that out around 6 Eastern. When the trades are officially complete. Well, and I imagine you'll probably do some updating as well. But I think I might end up on Marlins first 5. Brandon Drury being out of that lineup against the lefty is just a huge deal. So just an extra note there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going through the notifications right now, seeing how it's going to affect everything. Apologize if I've been distracted in the last 2 games, but you are correct. We got some more adjustments to make here before it closes in the next hour and a half.
Yeah, so I would just suggest everybody to keep their eye out. Be really careful with your bets today. I wouldn't suggest going too crazy. I'll go ahead and recap what I do have. I've got Brewers minus 1. I'll go ahead and go ahead and update that. I've got Brewers minus 1.5. That comes in at minus 144. I think that's cheaper than it should be. Mets and Washington, Nerfy minus 120. Colorado and San Diego, game 2, Nerfy minus 110. Yes, run in the first inning in that game. Dodgers minus 140. That's a bargain. I'm probably going to end up making that a 2-unit play. Toronto and Tampa over 7 in their game. I like Baltimore on the money line plus 112. Depending on what happens with Oakland and Anaheim, I like Oakland in theory first plus 112. Oakland Anaheim 5 under 4. I like that as well. We'll see. Big asterisk next to those plays. Arizona and Cleveland, no runs in the first inning. A couple others that I am adding to the card. I'm adding the Braves minus 1.5 to the card. I'm adding the Cardinals minus 1.5 to the card. You've talked me into both of those, and I think both those are taken on teams who are going to be selling freely. So those will be official plays for me. And then Cincinnati, Miami, we'll see. We might have a little Miami play come through as well.
Yeah, hashtag LGO. Let me go run through my stuff real quick. All right. Game 1, Rockies-Padres. Oh, that's already gone. My bad. Game 2, Rockies-Padres. I'm with you on the Yerfie on that one. Mets and Nationals. Give me the Mets team total over 5.5 and Jacob deGrom under 6.5 strikeouts for a plus money number. My 2 big plays today are the Brewers run line and the Cardinals run line. I also like the Braves. First 5, -0.5. Give me the Nerfy on that as well. On Jays and Rays, I like the Blue Jays. Money line. Orioles and Rangers. Give me the game over. Astros on the run line. And last, I would like the Diamondbacks and Guardians. Give me the Nerfy on that one. And give me McKenzie with the Guardians first 5 money line.
All righty. Sounds good. One day in the baseball world today. Obviously, for the next 82 minutes, we'll be watching closely to see what happens with the trade deadline. BC and I'm sure will both be plenty active on Twitter. I would suggest going and checking out our articles with our plays for today closer to when the games start, just to make sure that we've got all the updated information and everything, and we're ready to fire away. But appreciate everybody for joining in today. We'll be back on Thursday with some more money, hopefully, to be made with another episode of Touch 'em All. In the meantime, enjoy the games tonight. Please remember that the Angels don't play in Los Angeles and never will. And that's all I got. Appreciate y'all's time and have a good one.
Good luck, everyone.